Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another episode of Myth Busting Mondays. I hope you guys are having a good weekend, and I hope you guys are looking forward to today's episode, because for today's episode, my friends, for the final myth, we're going to be doing the ultimate myth, the spicy myth, the big bad myth of today's episode, and it is going to be: can you save yourself from fall damage by exploding a boomer? This has been the most unique myth we have had so far about catching yourself from fall damage, and I like where you guys are going with this. You guys have come up with a lot more creative things since the last time we did this. I'm really looking forward to seeing this method next. But yeah, guys, that's going to be the final myth of today's episode. If you guys end up enjoying today's episode, please end up dropping a like, comment, and subscribe to show your guys' support. And if there's any particular myth that you guys would like to see featured in next week's episode, just please put them in the comments down below. But anyways, guys, let's get on with this week's episode of Myth Busting Mondays. Myth: can you cancel a charger's charge by blowing up a propane tank? Guys, so this one was requested by JJ Lipscomb, and JJ wants to know, can you interrupt a charger's charge, basically stunning them by using propane tanks? So me and the boys have a giant row of propane tanks, and we're trying just multiple attempts here to end up killing or stunning the charger, but we're getting some really weird results, and I'm going to show you here in a second. We decided to end up going onto this random highway that's here on the parish, just because there's pretty much like nothing on the road and the charger can't charge on these. And when we blow up the propane tanks, yes, I understand that a lot of these are going to be overkill. You would think that it would end up stunning or at the very least kill the charger. But not exactly, because I'm going to show you right here in this gameplay that we had some really weird results. And this is going to be pretty insane what you're about to see here. Now, I don't know if this was a fluke, but I promise you the only thing that was modified in the game was us. But every single time we would shoot the propane, the charger just flat out did not give a shit. He would just run through everything and not even flinch. And we were even messing around and wanted to go out of our way to prove a point. We got exploding barrels and blew these up, and the charger doesn't die right away. He just sits there on fire, and it's not until after the fire has gotten him that he dies. That I cannot explain away, and I just find that extremely weird. So I don't know what it was with our game, but I promise you the only thing we changed about it was us. And the charger, just for some reason, just did not care and would not die no matter what we did. Like, let alone stun, but most certainly nothing happened that worked out in our favor. Now, even though I can't prove it by showing gameplay, I have most certainly stunned a charger before, and I remember this in my memory. So what I'm going to do is that since I don't have the proof of it going in either way, I'm going to label this myth as plausible, because I swear to God, I have stunned a charger multiple times before. In fact, I believe, stunned him at one point in this footage. It's just that the footage was really not that good enough to show in the video, because from my end, I thought I did, but you guys might think otherwise, just because of the angles and everything and all the explosions going on. It made it kind of look blurry. So I'm just going to label it as plausible. I hope you guys understand why. Myth: can you shoot a grenade out of midair? Alright guys, so this myth was submitted in by Dead Sled 8. Now Dead Sled, I like your myth here. This is very creative, and if you end up having this myth be confirmed, you're going to change the meta, my friends. Because if you can blow up pipe bombs and bio bombs and Molotovs early, you would make a skill that nobody else would end up having until they end up learning from this video. And that would be very, very game-changing, my friend. Now, before in the past, when we've tried to see if there was a collision effect with melee weapons on the grenades when we did our baseball and our golf myths, those were ending up being busted. Now, when it comes to a gun, you would think that, oh, well, the gun is bullets. It should realistically have an instant collision effect. Well, that was the thing, is that we weren't sure if we were just genuinely missing or if there was no collision effect, because no matter how many times we shot at a pipe bomb or a Molotov or a bio bomb in midair with a multitude of different guns, and we were being pretty accurate, by the way, we could not hit the thing. We had it in slow motion, we were crouching and everything. And then we were like, you know what? Instead of trying to shoot it at midair, let's just test something real quick. We're literally going to throw a grenade on the ground and just shoot it at point blank range. And if it doesn't blow up then we know it wouldn't even work in the air in the first place. Alright, so right here on the gameplay, you're going to see Dan throw a pipe bomb. Now this, unlike the Molotov and the bio bomb, does not end up detonating on impact. so it can just sit there for a minute. And we're shooting at plain as day, and the thing only ends up blowing up because of its timer, not because of our bullets. So, at least for the pipe bomb specifically, it didn't matter how much we shot that thing. It was not going to blow up until it was damn well ready. And I can almost guarantee you that the Molotov and the Bio Bomb are pretty much going to be the exact same way. I can't see why they would be any different, because we shot all of them constantly and nothing changed. Even though there could be a possibility with frag rounds or incendiary rounds or just solely being more accurate, the practicality is definitely out the window. So I'm just going to be confident in just labeling this myth as busted. There's no way you could do this, because even if you could, it would be so unpractical that the strategy, even if you got good at it, would be just unreliable. It'd be inconsistent. So I'm just comfortable leaving it at busted. Let me know what you guys think, though. Myth: can you set off a car alarm with throwable grenades and propane tanks? Alrighty guys, now this myth was submitted in by Star. Now Star, this myth is very creative. I like what you're going with here. And when it comes to your myth, we decided that we were just going to do this on the parish, just because that this ends up having not only the best spot for alarmed cars, but we also even spawned in more of our own. And I can tell you this, is that I think your myth is going to work before we even try it, just because this game has, as far as I'm aware, pretty much like a sneeze can set off a car alarm, because knowing my luck, anything I do will end up setting off a car alarm. And Propane immediately works, just so you know, because how do I know this? Well, as soon as we shot Propane, every single one of these cars that Dan spawned in was enough to make me deaf, because I swear to God, that many cars going off simultaneously like that will give you an instant headache. It's not worth it, and that's why the gameplay is totally muted. Alrighty guys, now I'm done recovering from my hearing loss, so now we're going to be testing out the grenades. So we have the pipe bomb, the Molotov, and the bio bomb all ready to test. So I decided to do the pipe bomb first. Now with the pipe bomb, I definitely thought that the explosion part was going to set off the car alarm, because even a boomer explosion can set off a car alarm. Now get this, the other guys were doing this exact same myth with me, and even though I ended up getting the explosion to trigger the car alarms, they threw the grenade directly at the car, and the impact of the grenade itself also set off the car alarm, which I thought was interesting, because that's not only realistic, but it's also something that's going to make it where you have to be a lot more careful when you throw a grenade now, is because not the initial explosion, it's pretty much the direct impact of the grenade, so you have to be very careful where you throw it. Now when it came to the Molotov, I noticed that the Molotov doing a direct impact shot will end up setting off the car alarm. However though, if it's going to be the burning effect, it does not set off the car alarm, which I thought was interesting, because the fire does technically affect the car by, like, you know, transferring over to it, but the alarm just for some reason does not go off. I don't know why, but it just doesn't. And now finally we have the bio bomb. Now the bio bomb is going to be a direct impact grenade anyways, just because it instantly will destroy as soon as you throw it, and it once again does set off the car alarm, which means that every single grenade and the propane tank will set off car alarms, which means that this myth is going to be confirmed. So I recommend not throwing any grenades or any explosives of any kind when you're on the parish, especially on the 3rd chapter. Myth: can a boomer vomit on you through a safe room door? Alrighty guys, now this next myth was submitted in by Nitwit, and Nitwit, nice Robert Downey Jr. profile picture by the way. When it comes to this myth, I think that this myth was probably the most complicated that I have done thus far on Myth Busting Mondays. Now, you might not understand why at first, but I promise you, by the end of this episode, you're going to understand how, like, messed up this myth was. It was very... The word I want to use is fucky, because I can't explain at all some of the things that happened throughout this myth. So it's best that I just show you. Alright, now there's going to be 3 main takeaways from this myth. Number 1 is that the boomer can indeed vomit on you through the safe room door, because the little slit in the door where you can end up seeing the survivor's eyes, the boomer vomit can end up going through that little crack and reach these survivors. As long as you're not crouched behind the door, then the boomer can end up reaching you. You can even see the vomit effect going through the door itself. So that part of the myth is confirmed. But even though the myth is confirmed, I don't want to end the myth right here, because I just want to show you guys some other stuff, because maybe this will end up being a future myth or something, if you guys want to see maybe like us test this more. But I just want to show you guys this, just so it's out there. So take a look at this. There is a boomer on the other side of the door, and I am mailing the boomer. Now I get that that's already a little bit weird, but take notice how that Drages on the other side of the door, right next to the boomer, is not getting vomit on him. You see that, right? His little blue silhouette in my right he is not getting vomited on. Now, you might be thinking that he's not in the blast radius, but I want to show you something. I want you guys to see what happens when I stand outside the safe room door with it closed, and all I do is just have my back to it. Watch what happens when I melee a boomer with my nightstick. I explode the boomer, and I don't get affected at all. And I do this again, and again, and again, several times. This does not make sense at all. Why is it that if I'm standing next to the safe room door, all of a sudden, the vomit effect doesn't work? Now, even though my mod menu is open on the left-hand side of the screen, I just want to let you guys know that we did not change the game at this moment in time, because we wanted to have a control. But you can see, though, that when I step away from the safe room door, the vomit then does suddenly activate. So there's suddenly a barrier that is being activated every single time that we step near the safe room door that allows us to not get vomited on, which to my knowledge is the only natural way we have so far found a way to not be vomited on by the boomer in some form or capacity. And this is something that we replicated time and time again, because look at this. The boomer can vomit on you through the safe room door, but smacking the boomer with a melee weapon right in front of it, outside of it, does not. That does not make sense to me. Here's something I really want to nail home, is that this is not consistent. Look at this. Drages is right next to me, I melee the boomer, and he gets vomited on, but yet I don't. And we're standing right in the exact same spot. So if there's some sort of barrier here that's near the safe room door, it's right in front of the door, only right in front of the door, and it basically acts like this invisible barrier. Essentially, I think what's happening is that the safe room door is acting more like a 360-degree sphere, and what's happening is that when the door is shut, around it a little bit, like right in front of it, is almost an extension to itself, and I'm standing in it. So what it's thinking is happening is that the game thinks I'm in the safe room behind cover, when I'm really not, and it allows me to still be able to kill things such as the boomer and not get vomited on. But it's not everywhere in this area, it's only some areas, because if Drages, for example, is outside the area, he can get vomited on, but I can't. And as you can see, he's next to me, and he's just only slightly moved over to the right, and all of a sudden he's safe. But I wanted to test this even further now. What we are going to be doing is that I'm going to open the door right before I kill the boomer. I'm just curious if this was going to cause a different result. I'm going to open the door before I melee the boomer, even though we're standing in the exact same spot, just to see if it's something to do with the door. And I was right. As soon as the door opens, even though I'm standing in the exact same spot, I get vomited on. So there's something with the safe room door. I think that when you shut the door a little bit in front of the door, it's going to be this invisible barrier of itself. It's going to basically act as if you're in a piece of cover, almost like an invisible second safe room door. And if you can kill things in this area, you will not be affected. So I don't know what the hell is going on. I just want to show this to you guys. Maybe one of you guys can explain this as a glitch, or as a coding error, or maybe it's something to do with what we were doing. I don't know, but if somebody could please clarify this. This isn't even a myth anymore at this point, but I just want to know what the hell happened here, because I want to know if we can work with this. If this is some sort of strategy that we can make. Because keep in mind, like I said, this could be legitimately the first ever way to not get vomited on by the boomer without cheating. This would be something interesting. I just thought I would point this out. But basically, long story short, the myth about the boomer vomiting through safe room doors is confirmed. I just wanted to show you this bonus footage. Alrighty guys, now even though that myth was just as weird as it was fun, we are not quite done with the boomer yet. We still need to have him for the final myth here. And once again, the final myth is going to be, can you explode a boomer to save yourself from fall damage? I really am curious where this is going to go, and I really like the idea behind this. So let's end up cutting to the chase and testing out the final myth. Myth, can you save yourself from fall damage by exploding a boomer? Okay guys, the final myth was submitted in by Glabursko. So Glabursko, my boy, I'm ready to put my Left 4 Dead life on the line for this myth. So I've got a little arena here full of boomers, and I'm just going to be jumping straight off and shooting at the absolute last second. Kind of going in with the idea with the frag round shotgun. and I'm going to be just seeing if whether or not that I can save my own life. So here we go. I got an auto shotty, and as soon as there's boomers, I'm going to jump and just spray and pray to God that their lards and their fat rolls are going to protect me. So boomers, please save my life with your gigundo titties, and hopefully I will not die. Alright guys, here we go. 3, 2, 1. I'm going after you, Godbursko. Catch me! And yep, it worked. Seriously, that's cool. Alright, hell yeah. Here's another attempt, guys, where I'm in third person just so you can see it at a different angle to see what this would look like if your teammates were to do it. I end up landing on the boomer's head, and that's right about the time I shoot, and I end up saving my own life. What do you know? Ladies and gentlemen, the final myth is confirmed. If you're in a desperate situation, there's a boomer underneath of you, just feel free to shoot his titties and save your own life. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for today's episode of Myth Busting Mondays, and I hope you guys end up enjoying, and if you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, and subscribe to show your guys' support. But by the way, guys, though, before we do end up ending the video here, remember, you can always end up submitting in your myths if you end up having any in the comments down below, and you might be featured in next week's video, so I definitely encourage you to do that. You can end up leaving a myth about the zombies, the survivors, the guns, the maps, etc. Be creative with it, kind of like end up getting that childhood-like curiosity, and just simply ask a question of what if, and I will end up getting around to it in a future episode, my friends. If you guys would also like to financially support the channel, by the way, I tremendously appreciate if you guys could go check out my Patreon. It is always linked down below in all my YouTube video descriptions, or you guys could use supporter creator code BlackNinja797 in all caps in the Fortnite Epic Games item shops, because Epic is my very first sponsor, and they're sponsoring today's video, so shout out to Epic Games. But yeah, guys, I hope you end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most seeing YouTubers are ever going to see. Thank you for watching, guys. I love you, and peace out.
Hey meme lords, Jesus here, and you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too, and give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!